Kyle Larson dominates and gets win number 8, locking himself in. But behind him, there was some drama for some other playoff contenders. All that and more coming up next. So Kyle Larson gets win number 8 in dominating fashion, giving him that crucial 2-week preparation period going forward to the final race for the playoff championship in Phoenix. Obviously, he's already the regular season champion. But let's just take a look real quick at the dominance that he has had this season. 8 wins, 18 top 5s, 24 top 10s, and 2,267 laps led. That is 28.6% of the time when he's on the racetrack. He is in the lead. Obviously, he's had a DNF or so here or there, but of the 7,920 laps he has led, he has been in the lead 28.6% of the time. That is very impressive considering Kevin Harvick was at about 1,500 laps led last season when he got his 9 wins and 20-something top 10s, and he had a great season too. So to see these 2 seasons back to back is amazing, but Kyle Larson has a huge advantage in laps led. Kevin Harvick with an average finish of 7.7 versus Kyle Larson's 9.4 average finish. So Harvick on his amazing season has a little bit of edge on average finish, and Larson has a little bit of edge in laps led. But don't get it wrong, we have watched 2 amazing seasons back to back, and it's been very, very impressive. But although he has locked himself into the playoffs, he still has to get the job done. Obviously, Harvick's season was disrupted. He did not get his playoff championship to match his regular season title. And some other guys who have to be worried about that at this point are the playoff contenders that got themselves in trouble. Let's take a quick look at the playoff standings as they stand right now, and then we'll talk about those drivers. Okay, leading the way, of course, locked in is Kyle Larson. Then at plus 17 is Ryan Blaney. Denny Hamlin at plus 9. Kyle Busch at plus 8. Chase Elliott at minus 8. Brad Keselowski at minus 15. And almost in win or go home situations are Truex at minus 22 and Joey Logano at minus 43. And that is where I would like to start there at minus 43 with Joey Logano. They have to be at this point just focused on winning because it's going to be really hard in 2 races against the 8 best drivers left to make up 43 points. In a similar situation is Martin Truex. Bad luck for that guy. I mean, he got caught up in a wreck. One of the many wrecks. Joey Logano blew the engine, of course. Bad luck for him as well. Obviously, they were pushing the limits on that engine because Roush Yates hardly ever has engine problems. And Brad Keselowski at minus 15, he's right there on the cusp where he can sort of still points race a little bit. But he also, in the back of his mind, has to be thinking it's getting close to win or go home. So going forward, those 3 guys are in a real tight spot. Chase Elliott at minus 8, obviously not a spot you want to be in, but minus 8 is definitely a situation where you can still points race, but also go for the win. Chase Elliott pretty good at Martinsville coming up forward, so he's got a good chance at winning that race. But Chase Elliott can sort of still do both, either points race or go for wins. And the other guys cannot feel comfortable. Kyle Busch, even Ryan Blaney at plus 15. Anything can happen, obviously he had a teammate lose a motor. If he loses a motor in Kansas, he could, be in the same situation. So nobody is really safe other than Kyle Larson. And it'll be interesting to watch Denny Hamlin. This is the first time all season he's really had any pressure on him because the previous rounds he's won the first race in each of those. So for the first time this season, really, Denny Hamlin is feeling a little bit of pressure. That'll be interesting to look at going forward. All right, now on to good race, bad race. Good race, obviously, for Kyle Larson, locked himself in. I've already gone over that. Also a good race for Tyler Reddick, his second top 10 in a row. RCR has to be stoked about that. Also really cool to see that throwback paint scheme to the Intimidator, especially when he was making some contact with Byron. Also for the second week in a row, something also to keep track of. But to see that old Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon looking paint schemes battle with each other, that was pretty cool, brought back some memories. Daniel Suarez with the first-year startup, Trackhouse Racing. They got a top 10, so good for them. And Richard Petty and Eric Jones, that was an awesome 12th for them, especially at an intermediate track. Richard Petty struggles at these intermediates, so they have got to be stoked about that. Now on to bad race. Obviously, Joey Logano, losing the engine. He's got to feel like the most unlucky person in the world today because, you know, Roush Yates, they hardly ever have engine failures. Martin Truex got way too aggressive. I misspoke earlier saying he got into somebody else's mess. Go ahead and roast me for it in the comments. But Martin Truex not giving Daniel Suarez enough room, or however you want to call it, just getting way too aggressive on that restart, and Daniel Suarez got into him, or however you want to see it. But either way, bad luck for Truex. He was doing what he needed to do up until that point, and that just ruined a day for him where he probably would have been above the cutoff line if things had played out a little bit differently. And also a bad race for Bubba Wallace, who self-admittedly made a mistake on a restart, got way too aggressive, lost the nose of the car and spun himself out, wrecked, took his car out of the race. So from the highest of highs for a startup team, winning the race 2 weeks ago in Talladega, to the lowest of lows, a self-inflicted wreck and taking yourself out. That's racing. But hey, he owned up to it, and that's all you can do. And one last thing before we go, William Byron re-upped for 5 years with Hendrick Motorsports and Liberty University on the car going forward for the next 5 years. So Hendrick's got a nice solid foundation of young drivers there. They will look to take advantage of those guys' talents going forward. All right, that is all I've got for you today. If you like the content, please subscribe down below. And if you want to leave something down in the comments, leave them in the comments for me. I'll try to read and answer as many as I can. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.